Claw's Corner. Today's guest is an actor and producer. His television credits include Kojak, The White Shadow, Hill Street Blues, MacGyver, In the Heat of the Night, Simon and Simon, The Equalizer, NYPD Blue, Martial Law, ER, Law and Order, and that's just to name a few. His film credits include Brubaker, A Soldier Story, Quicksilver, and Purple Hearts. He is most well known for playing Cochise in the 1979 iconic film The Warriors. So without further ado, please welcome the extremely talented David D. Harris to the Claw's Corner. David, how are you?
Hi, I see you. I'm doing well. I can't see you because this block says, do you know what I mean? I remember when I met Katharine Hepburn. I was like, oh my God. You know what I mean? Wow. I mean, I was like, oh. I couldn't talk. You know? And I never got to meet, I met Sidney Poitier.
Wow.
He came to see me. I did a play at the Public Theater and with Ruby Dee, right? And I was opposite Ruby Dee, and Sidney Poitier and Ossie Davis came. And I mean, it came backstage, and I remember looking into Sidney's eyes, and he said, "I love what you did, young actor. Keep doing what you do, young actor."
And I said, a great impression of him.
I said, "Mr. Poitier, thank you. It's an honor." And then Ozzy came up to me and goes, "Son, you're doing well." You know, you're opposite my wife. And I said, "Yes." He goes, "You're doing well." You know, Rick, I mean, come on. You know what I mean?
So many great stories. I love this. You met everybody and worked with everybody. You know what I like? Ossie Davis has obviously done so much, but one of my favorites is towards the end of his career, a movie called Bubba Hotep.
Yes, yes.
Where there's an Elvis and Ossie Davis plays JFK, and they're fighting a mummy. It's hilarious. It's done by Don Coscarelli, who did Beastmaster and Phantasm. For the people who don't know what I'm talking about, watch it. It's a great movie. But Ossie Davis, so yeah, Ossie Davis, Sidney. I want to get back to Mary Tyler Moore because one of my favorite roles with her is a movie with Donald Sutherland and Timothy Hutton called Ordinary People.
Yes, yes.
And it was directed by Robert Redford, who you worked with.
It was right after I was working with him, and God rest his soul, we just lost Yaphet Kotto.
Yes.
You know what I mean? I'm going to tell you a quick story. I remember back in the when I was in acting school, I went to see a play called The Great White Hope. It was starring James Earl Jones as Jack Jefferson, the fighter. And I went to see the play, and I waited backstage, and he came on. I said, "Mr. Jones, thank you for allowing me to see such a brilliant performance." And he goes, "Are you an actor?" And I went, "Yes, Mr. Jones." He goes, "Keep doing what you're doing and be true to all of your characters." I said, "Thank you, Mr. Jones." You know, and how do I get off on that?
Because we were talking about all the different people you worked with. We were talking about Robert Redford.
Yeah, Robert Redford. Ordinary People.
Yeah,
we were doing a movie called Brubaker.
Yes,
right. And I was working with Robert Redford and Yaphet Kotto and a bunch of really good actors.
Well, let me before I'm going to say I have them written down because I just watched the movie recently. You got Morgan Freeman, David Keith, Murray Hamilton played the mayor in Jaws, and one of my all-time favorites, Joe Spinell from Maniac.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Well, I tell you, Joe and I got to be really very close friends. God rest his soul. I mean, I got to be really good friends with Yaphet. You know, I mean, and Redford, cool, but Redford was kind of off to himself. And I remember I shot my scene, the big whipping scene. I remember the big beating scene, where they beat this kid for no reason at all to make an example out of him. And how Stuart Rosenberg shot the scene and shot the pops on each actor watching me get beat. And when he popped Robert Redford and all these people watching this, you know what I mean? And I remember one of the greatest compliments I got as an actor is Redford came up to me after we shot it. He goes, You know what? That was some of the best acting I ever saw in my life.
Wow.
It's Robert Redford, all right? And Stuart Rosenberg said, "Kid, you nailed it." You know what I mean? Kid, he just looked at me, "Kid, you nailed it." You know what I mean? And all my fellow actors saying, wow, I mean, David Keith was saying, "Man, I just wanted to vomit after watching that, watching what, you know what I mean? What, you know, and I mean, it was no real whip or anything. It was, you know, it's, you know, but
Yeah.
I had to do an acting job. I had to do an acting job, you know, with the pain or horror, all of that. And make everyone watching it go, what horror? And Redford coming in to see what happens in this prison. And he goes, "Man, beautiful acting job. And you help my character knowing that what goes on in this prison." See what I mean? You know what I mean? After we shot, I mean, all the extras, everybody came and said, "Man, how did you do that? How did you do that?"
It was an intense scene.
I said, it's just, I'm an actor. You know, what can I say? You know, and Yaffe just grabbed me and said, "Boy, I'll buy you a drink tonight. That was good."
You know, if you ever decide to stop acting, go into impressions. You do the best impression. You're better than Rich Little.
So I mean, it was amazing. And then Redford went on after Brubaker to do Ordinary People.
I love
See what
that
I mean?
movie.
And which I thought was wonderful. I thought he did a great directorial job. I thought Mary Tyler Moore and Donald Sutherland, I thought the whole entire cast was brilliant.
Yeah, yeah. Well, there's also another person in that movie that I didn't mention, but he also worked with you in The Warriors, Conrad Sheehan.
Yeah, Conrad Sheehan is brilliant one. Yeah, he actually, you know, it's so funny because we were shooting The Warriors simultaneously as they were shooting something called The Wanderers with Ken Wall. Okay, that I went on to do, you know, Purple Hearts with, and he played one of the Ducky Boys, and that, and then he was, of course, he was the leader of the punks in The Warriors on the roller skates.
Yes,
did he mean? And so very, 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 very interesting that whole scene, because we were shooting The Warriors and the Wanderers. Of course, the Wanderers never took off like the Warriors. It got what. The Warriors is an international cult classic, where The Wanderers is not.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
It's a great movie, but no cult classic.
No. No one talks about that film like they talk about The Warriors. Yeah. You know, I mean, The Warriors is an international cult classic.
Well, the one thing I didn't realize about Conrad, besides being the leader of the punks, I didn't realize that he was also a stuntman.
Oh yeah, he was a very wonderful stuntman. He did a lot of stunts. And he's not a very big man. He's only like 5'5", you know. And one of the stuntmen on the Warriors, he's in the bathroom scene where we fight the punks in the bathroom. He did a stunt and he lost his life. After the Warriors, he did a stunt where he fell off a 5-story building into what they call the stunt bags, but apparently the stunt bag inflated. Didn't inflate it. The pressure was not where it was supposed to be, and all of his intestines were crushed or something like that. That's what I heard. And he lost his life. He lost his life.
Wow.
You know? But working with on Brubaker was a lot of fun. Good movie. Stuart Rosenberg did a good job. Working with David Keith, who did a bunch of stuff. Went on to do a bunch of stuff. What was amazing. I went on to do, after that, I went on to do a miniseries called North and South.
Yes.
And I just had a blast. We shot that for like 10 months. And I mean, I got to be very close with Patrick Swayze. He's an amazing man. Just an amazing actor.
No, I want to interrupt you for a second. I want to, because usually when somebody dies, there's always going to be dirt in somebody. Patrick Swayze is one of the only people I can think of in the paparazzi. I have never heard one negative thing about him after he died. He just seemed like a nice guy, very talented actor.
Yes. I mean, I didn't know any dirt about the man. He was just very friendly to all the fans that would, all the extras and all the people that come on the set wanting to meet him. You know what I mean? After Dirty Dancing, you know what I mean, which was a phenomenal hit, as we all know. You know what I mean? And I mean, girls were coming from everywhere to just come to the set to say hi to Patrick Swayze. I mean, he was one of the biggest stars in the world.
Yeah.
And I worked with phenomenal actors on that movie. You know, Christy Alley, which was so friendly and so wonderful. I just so many cast, this great cast.
Well,
Forrest,
I wrote down. I was gonna say I wrote down some of them. The list was so long, but as you mentioned, Kirstie Alley, David Carradine, Patrick Swayze, as you mentioned, Johnny Cash, Hal Holbrook, Morgan Fairchild, Robert Guillaume, Gene Kelly, Robert Mitchum, Elizabeth Taylor, Forrest Whitaker, and even Kerry Guffey, because at that time Close Encounters was the big movie in '77, so he played Barry Geiler, the little kid. So I mean, that was just a partial list. My hand cramped up in the middle of writing all the people in the movie.
Yeah, no, I mean, it was phenomenal meeting all those people. And I wasn't in scenes with all of them, but just being around the set and talking to them and having lunch with them. And I mean, I remember meeting Gene Kelly the first time I met him. Michael Beck did a movie called Xanadu.
Yes, I actually love that movie.
Olivia Newton-John, as you well know, and Gene Kelly. And when I met Gene, he had these amazing blue eyes that passed right through you. You know what I mean? And this guy's another living legend out of the movie genre in the 40s and 50s and 60s, all that stuff that he did, all those musicals and all of that. And he was just a very kind man, very, very nice. And Olivia Newton-John was a sweetheart. And she goes, I loved you in The Warriors. I just loved you. You were so wonderful in The Warriors. I loved your character. And I loved that outfit and that costume. You look so beautiful.
I never heard of Olivia Newton-John impression until now. That was perfect.
You know, so I mean, it was quite a compliment coming from her, you know what I mean? And I hung around the set a lot because I was out in California and Mike would have me there all the time. And, you know, they say, hey, one of my fellow Warriors are here. And Gene Kelly loved the movie. And it was a lot of fun. I mean, I was blessed, Rick, to work with some phenomenal people be around. But I've been in this business now for 50 years. 50 years. If you count back way back in the 70s to now, 5 decades, Yep.
Wow, that's
I'm no spring chicken. I'm no spring chicken.
Well, I've had other actors on the show, and they said the best teaching they ever got was actually being on the set, watching these legends, working with them, instead of going to acting school, instead of going to different classes. They said being on the set, as you mentioned too, you took everything in from Meryl Streep, John Lithgow, all these other people you worked with, and you've worked with so many great people. And not only is it a great way to network, but it's also a great way to just watch them and learn the craft.
Absolutely. Watch and learn. Keep your mouth shut and just watch and learn.
Yeah.
Just watch and learn. You know what I mean? Don't run your mouth. Just watch and learn.
Yeah.
And observe, and you'll pick it up. And watch your directors. Watch what they do. Watch how they handle the DPs and how they handle the grips and how they handle actors. Do you know what I mean? And you learn so much. Do you know what I mean? Watch how they use their cameras. You know what I mean? Watch how they do their shots and why they're doing their shots. You learn. Yeah.
Well, speaking of directors, one of my all-time favorite movies is Jesus Christ Superstar. And it was directed by Norman Jewison.
Yes.
Let's talk about a Soldier Story.
I was so blessed to be cast when Norman cast me in that. I remember going up to meet him. Do you know what I mean? And I go, oh my God, this guy has done, this guy's done Fiddler on the Roof. This guy's done all these great movies. Do you know what I mean? And now he's going to do a soldier story. And I remember going up to meet him. And I was nervous. And I'd done a lot of this. David, what do you have to be nervous for? You've worked with all these great people already. But again, when I meet the giants, I'm always nervous. You know what I mean? I don't care how many people I've worked with. And what a kind, gentle, wonderful, beautiful man. And they had to read it. And I read one scene, and he just smiled at me. He looked at me, and he got up, and he came over to me, and he gave me a hug. He didn't say anything. He said, he gave me a hug. And I walked out. And 2 days later, my agent called me. He said, David, you know, you got the role. Norman has hired you. I said, oh, wow. And then I said, well, what's the cast? And they started naming up Robert Townsend, David Allen Greer, Denzel Washington, Howard Rollins. And I had did a play with Howard Rollins down at the Public Theater. Okay? Howard had just got to New York City, new actor, young actor, and I was still young, and I did a play with him called Section D at the Public Theater. And here I am. I've worked with Howard Rollins, and then I get to work with him again in the heat of the night. At a guest shot, I worked with Howard again. We paired off again in the heat of the night. But to do a soldier story was just an amazing time working with. I mean, of course, we all know Denzel went on to be an incredible superstar.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And Howard Rollins before he passed away, and Larry Riley, which was a great actor before he passed away. The late, great Adolph Caesar. I mean, great actor before half the cast has passed away. Half the cast has passed away. But I was blessed and lucky enough to work with Norman Jewison, to work with this amazing, great director. And he was so kind, and he gave us leadway. He was not a tyrant. He gave us leadway to develop the characters. You could go and talk to him about, well, I don't feel quite right about this line. How do you want me to, what do you think how I should interpret the line? And he sit with you and work with you, and just an amazing. And the actors didn't have an ego, and it was great working with Howard Rollins and Denzel and Robert Townsend and David Allen Greer and Adolph Caesar. Adolph, okay, boy. Try to get that boy. You know what I mean? We can't use no gitches. You're the gitcher, boy. He had that amazing voice. He was the voice of mine is a terrible thing to waste. So, I mean, and this guy was just, you know what I mean? And he wasn't a big man. You know what I mean? But he had this voice that commanded everything. Yeah, boy. What I tell you about that, boy? just amazing. You know what I mean? And Denzel and I shared a trailer. So we got to know each other well. We shared a trailer. I had no idea this guy would turn out to be a super mega star. You know what I mean?
Yep.
But
I loved it. You worked with a lot of these people when they were on the up and coming, like Meryl Streep in 76, 77.
Yes. John
Lithgow, another one that wasn't big yet, but they were on their way. So you got a chance to see them before they became superstars.
Absolutely. You know what I mean? And it was a pleasure. Like Denzel and I shared a trailer together, and we talk about acting, talk about, women and, Hollywood or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he was a really wonderful, wonderful man. And in Brubaker, working with Morgan Freeman. Now, let me tell you, working with Morgan Freeman. What do you talk about in a brilliant actor? Brilliant actor. Working with Morgan. I didn't have a scene with him, but that scene that he did with Redford and Keith David in the prison thing, when he goes, "You feel I'm choking him, you go, nah, I want my freedom. I want my cell painted yellow. I want bars. I want to win."
Yeah. I like Redford. Give it to him. What do you want?
Give it to him.
Give him anything he wants. Just give it to him.
I can feel his neck cracking.
Yeah, I love when the scene Redford goes, "Let me in." What? No, let me in. And Morgan Freeman's face, like, what? Such a great scene.
But Rick, that was not my first time working with Morgan. I did a made-for-TV movie, and we should have got the Emmy, called Attica, about the Attica State riots. Okay, the Attica State riots. I played CJ. Okay, I had a great scene with Morgan. Do you know what I mean? And that was my first time working with Morgan Freeman. And I remember Morgan, after the scene, he goes, boy, you got it. Keep going, boy. You got it. That's what he said. Boy, you got it. Keep going, boy.
I love all these great actors. Just like, you're doing well. You're doing great. Keep going. I mean, you always had all these great actors giving you their seal of approval. And it's great. You know what's funny though? I want to go back to this story about with how Norman Jewison got you in that role in Soldier Story. It's very similar to Walter Hill. You had no idea you were in the movie. They're like, all right, go ahead, go to wardrobe. And next thing you know, like, am I in the movie or what? You got hired.
I mean, it was just amazing. I mean, it was just amazing. I mean, my agent called me to say, David, you're going to be working for Norman Jewison. What? Because you got the role. Norman went to see the play. It was called a soldier's play, right at NEC. And he went to see it, and I guess he figured, I'm going to turn this thing into a movie. You know what I mean? And Paramount, Paramount, and then boom. I mean, I'm sorry, Columbia Pictures did it. And I mean, I remember, wow, when I met him in his hotel room with the reader and the producer, and I was like, I get nervous, because I'm meeting these giants, and every time I meet a giant, I'm always nervous. I don't care how much stuff I've done. Do you know what I mean? It's just that's just the way my system works. And he's so kind. His spirit was so gentle, and and he goes, "Are you ready?" And I said, "Yes, Mr. Jules." Go. And did the scene, and he hugged me, thank you, and walked out. And 2 days later, my agent called, hey, you're going to be doing a Soldier Story.
Love it. I had a chance to meet Norman Jewison because at Chiller, a couple of days prior to that, they had an anniversary for Jesus Christ Superstars. They had all Ted Neely there, and some of the other actors. And when I was talking to Ted, he said, oh yeah, in New York, we're going to be running the movie at this theater and everybody's going to be there. So I said, all right, I'm going to go. And I took the train down there. Norman was there that time. So I got a chance to see him, meet him, talk to him. And he just seems like a very, very, as you mentioned, genuine, nice guy. And this is what I love doing the show. And I got to mention, because one of my all-time favorite movies, Warriors, I got to interview you and Apache. Jaws, I got to interview Jeffrey Kramer. Evil Dead, Betsy Baker. Phantasm Reggie, I got to interview. And Jesus Christ Superstar, I got to interview Ted Neely. So I love doing this show because it's similar to going to Chiller. I get a chance to meet all these people that I grew up watching and finding out what great people they are and how talented they are. So this is so much fun.
Yes, I agree. And you should have a lot of fun. I mean, you've got a chance to, interview a lot of wonderful, wonderful, talented people. Do you know what I mean? And I know that brings a great smile on your face and great joy to your heart. Listen, I'm interacting with some amazing people.
Yes. Yeah, no, and I love it. So we talked about some of the movies you've done. I want to go back to TV for a minute because you had a recurring role on NYPD Blue.
Yes, Officer Donnie Simmons.
Yeah. I want to talk about your experience with David Mills.
Great experience. Great experience. Great experience with Stephen Bosco, God rest his soul. Do you know what I mean? I did a guest shot on his show. He did. A lot of people didn't get it. Something called Cop Rock.
I love that show.
I thought it was great. I thought it was great. I mean, a lot of people just didn't get it. You know what I mean? But I got it. I thought he was innovative with the show. A lot of people say, well, you got a prison scene, and then you got a courtroom scene, and then the judge is jumping up dancing, and the jury's jumping up dancing, and people didn't get it, but I got it. I thought it was, it didn't run. It didn't really You know, I had, I think, like a half a season or whatever it was, 8 shows before the network pulled it. But Stephen Boschko was just an amazing producer. Do you know what I mean? And working with Dennis Franz and Jimmy Smith and David Caruso was just amazing. And Dennis Franz is so funny and so amazing. You know, he goes, when I came back for my second and then my third one, he goes, "Hey, Harris." I go, "Yeah." He goes, "I think these people like you. Is he going to be around for a while?"
All right.
I go, "Why?" I said, I hope so. I hope they write this character permanently into this show, which they never did.
Yeah.
But I did like, I don't know, I did like 11 episodes of it.
Yeah, I think so.
And you know, small lines, not a lot of lines, but I did 11 episodes of it. And just being around Dennis and Jimmy Smith and David Caruso. When I first got to show, David Caruso was leaving. It's going to be replaced by Jimmy Smith. You know? And then, you know, Ricky Schroeder came in and, you know, blah, 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 blah. But Dennis was just, him and I just hit it right off.
Yeah.
Just hit it right off.
Yeah, that sounds great. And the reason I brought up David Milch is because I've heard other people talk about him, and I want to see if you had a similar experience. I heard he would go in there and say, "No, do it like this." And right on the spot, he would come up with dialogue that you would never have a chance to even memorize or know. And he would say this, say this, say this. Let's film it.
He certainly did.
Okay.
And that happened to me too. And you got to be on your P's and Q's. That's where you know that you know you're an actor. You know, you got to learn this instantaneously. He goes, "Listen, here it is. Forget those lines. Here it is. This is what I want you to say." You got to digest it. You got to put it in your brain. You got to put it in your emotions. You got to put it in your mouth, and you got to do it. You know what I mean? It's like boom. You know, you have no time. You know, he goes, "Hey, listen, forget those lines. That's out. This is it." You know what I mean? Here it is. You got 7 new lines. You know, get it in your head and do it now, and boom. Yep. And you did it.
Yeah,
you did it.
That takes a lot of talent, because not only do you have to memorize the lines, but you have to make them sound believable as they're coming out your mouth. You can memorize something, but it's going to sound stilted and rehearsed. To learn those lines in a second's notice and make it sound believable takes a lot of talent.
That's right. Make it believable. And the director's saying, "Hey, look, here it is." You know, lights, camera, roll, boom. You know, action.
Do it.
It's good. Just do it. You know, if you flub it one time, okay, you're forgiven. Okay, second take. Let's do it again. Boom. You better nail it. You know, you had your one chance to flub it. You know what I mean? Okay, let's go. Boom. You know what I mean? You know, I mean, you know, you shoot an episodic television in 6 days. That's it. You know what I mean? You know, that's it. You know, you don't have a whole bunch of time here. You know what I mean? You know what I mean?
It's not like the movies where they say, "Hurry up and wait."
Yeah, but episodic television ain't no hurry up and wait. You know what I mean? You know, it's just do it. You know what I mean? You know, it's a whole different genre.
Well, I spoke with an actor that was in 2 movies with Clint Eastwood, and he said that Clint Eastwood works just like that. He said basically one take, let's move on. He very rarely did more than 2-3 takes. He said, "Look, I like that. That's good." And they said they would film his movies very quickly. So.
Yeah. No, a lot of directors are like that. You know what I mean? That's cool. Yeah.
Kubrick would do 113 takes on one scene, but I guess everybody has their own style.
Yeah, they do. Every director is different, basically. Do you know what I mean? They come to it with their own, you know, perception of what they want, and you just got to do it. You got to work with them and work. You know, you got to adjust. You know.
What was Walter like? Did he do a lot of takes?
Walter would do his share takes. Yeah. I mean, like I said, we shot 4 different versions of the Warriors.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, Walter would just say, "Hey, look, I don't like it. We'll do it again. You know, we'll do it again." You know what I mean? But the studio kept liking the dailies, and they just kept, you know, saying, keep going. You know what I mean? We had a 9-week shoot schedule. That didn't go on 9 to 11 weeks. That thing went 5.5 months. You know? So apparently this, as I call it, suits at Paramount, like those dailies that were going back every day, looking at the stuff, saying, "Oh, well, this guy is, Walter was a visionary." You know, it's like a great director, Sidney Lumet, who did
Yes.
Network, and so many great movies of New York City. You know,
Dog
Dog
Day
Day
Afternoon.
Afternoon. I mean,
Yes.
I wish I would have been in that picture. You know what I mean? But I met Sidney. And I met him on Serpico. He didn't hire me. He gave it to a very good friend of mine. And I understand why he got the role. And I said, you know what? Sidney made the right choice. It was him and I, but the other guy got it. And I understand why Sidney hired him. It's a whole different thing than what I was bringing to the character. Do you know what I mean? But Sidney was just, he just looked at me and said, David, you're a wonderful, wonderful actor. You know what I mean? And I didn't get the role, but just hearing that from after the audition, hearing him coming up to me and shaking my head, says, you're a wonderful, wonderful young actor. You know what I mean? And I went back. I remember leaving and going over to my agent's office and say, he said, David, you're a wonderful, wonderful actor. But then we waited 3 or 4 days. If you don't hear anything after a week, you didn't get the role. And my friend got it. And I said, when I saw the final film, I go, I know exactly why he gave that role to him. You know what I mean? And you have to be honest as an actor to yourself. You know what I mean? You can't get everything. You're not right for everything. Yeah. You're not going to get every role you go up for. You know what I mean? Yeah. Till you get to be an Al Pacino or Denzel or Morgan Freeman or somebody where you choose what you want to do. Mm-hmm. The studios are kissing your feet to take this role. Yeah. They're begging you and kissing your feet and throwing all kinds of money at you to do this role, to be in this movie. You know what I mean? Where it's not about auditioning anymore. Nothing. They just send you a script and go, will your client please do this? We're willing to give them, $20 million. You know what I mean? Yeah. But I wasn't nowhere near that. You know what I mean? But just hearing it from Sidney, whom I totally respect. Oh yeah. I mean, one of my favorite movies is Network. You must atone. You are me. It's all about rubies and dollars. What's it? We lost him. The actor.
I can't remember his name, but I know exactly who you're talking about.
Yeah, we lost him like 2 years ago, but he was brilliant. Yeah. And then, of course, the guy who played the lead role was brilliant. What's his name? God.
Is it William Holden?
Not William Holden. The guy who played the news guy.
I can't remember his name. Because I know William Holden, Mia Farrow. Not Mia Farrow. Yeah. No, Mia Farrow. No, it's the other one.
What's his name? God.
Faye Dunaway. Faye Dunaway.
He played Faye Dunaway's wannabe. She was in love with him, but she wasn't in love with him. Yeah. But he was the guy who put you must go out. I want you to go out and tell the people. And remember that whole scene? Rebel. Yes. Tell them, what's his, oh my God, what's his name? I'm bringing an actor. But you know what I'm talking about.
I know exactly who you're talking about. And I'm sure after I hit pause, I'm going to remember exactly who it was. But yeah, I love that movie. I love I think every movie Sidney's done that I've seen. The ones we mentioned, Dog Day Afternoon, Serpico, Network. There's so many others that I've seen that, yeah, he's just a brilliant director.
Brilliant director. And it was an honor to meet him. And I had so much wanted to work for him, but I understand why my friend got the role. Yep. And I was very happy for him. And I told him, I said, listen, you're going to be brilliant. And he was very good at it. You know what I mean? As I said, you can't get every role. You know what I mean? There are roles that an actor is not just right for. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It's certain things that a director may see in one actor may not see in another actor. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's just part of the way it is. Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
It's part of the way it is.
That is the way it is. Now I have a question for you in that same topic. I love your attitude saying you can't get every role. Has there ever been a role that you turned down that became a mega hit?
I wish to God there was something like that, but no, I've never turned down a role that I thought that would be. Okay. No, I'm an actor. I love to work. Do you know what I mean? I mean, I'm not going to take a role that would belittle me and make me look like an idiot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or that I thought it was just so bad, or just I can't say these lines. You know what I mean? I can't do this. I can't play this character. I would just rather say, tell my agent, I can't do this. You know, I don't want to do this. You know what I mean? And there were roles like that I told my agent, I'm not doing that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, but look, they're offering. I don't care. Money's not everything. I have my self-respect. I have to be honest to myself, my spirit, my soul, my daughter, my children. I have to, you know what I mean? Wait a minute. Money's not everything. You know what I mean? I don't care. I just can't say these lines. I cannot do this character. And I won't. I'm not going to sell my soul. You know what I mean? I'm not going to sell my soul because, well, I'll get X amount of dollars and blah, blah, blah. No, I won't do that. I won't.
I like that. I like that. You have respect and you do what's right for you. There's one actor in particular. I read a biography on him not too long ago, Steve McQueen. Brilliant actor. I love the movies he's done, but he turned down so many roles. And one role in particular he turned down was Butch Cassidy and Sundance Kid, because he didn't like the fact he was supposed to play a Sundance Kid. He wanted the Sundance Kid to have top billing. And he says, well, I refused to do a movie. And they gave it to Robert Redford, which worked out very well for him.
Yes.
So you see some actors like that where they just, because of ego, they refuse to do the role. And I don't know. Maybe he had yeah.
There are a lot of actors that have done what you just said. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, like if I don't get top billing, or if I don't want to play, or I rather play that role. I don't want to play that role. You know what I mean? Yeah. And otherwise, if I don't play that role, then I'm not doing it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I mean that becomes ego, and that becomes a whole other different ball game. You know, I mean, I found myself in a situation where I just said I can't do that because it's not morally right for me. You know what I mean? I can't play that kind of a character. I can't say those lines and let somebody else go do it. You know what I mean? Yeah, there are a million other actors that'll do it in a heartbeat. You know what I mean? Yeah. You know, like I can't do it. I'm not going to sell myself. You know, no.
I think one of my favorite stories is Michael Caine. He is so comfortable in his career now, as he's done it for so long. He basically said, he goes, and I'll give you an example. One of the movies he talked about was Jaws 4, which is probably one of the worst movies of all time. Where the shark takes revenge and follows them to the Bahamas. But he goes, 4 months in the Bahamas, I get paid for it. I'm going to do this movie. I don't really care what it's about. And I mean, but he has such an eclectic career and such a great career over the years that he can say that now. It's like, you know what? It's 4 months in the Bahamas. Yeah, let's film it. Who cares?
Hey, you know what? Listen, Rick, right now, like I said, I've been in the business for 50 years. If some studio came to me and said, listen, David, we got this role, you know, it's not a role that would disgrace you or anything like that, but you know, listen, it's not a great role. It's not even a very good role.
Yeah.
But we're going to give you, you know, 4 months down in Bahamas or Bermuda or Tahiti somewhere where Brando shot, you know, Mutiny on the Bounty, you know, and you can be down in, you know, a place like that for 5 or 6 months, and you're only going to have to work 1 or 2 days a week. And you think I'd be stupid enough to turn that down?
No,
I wouldn't. I'll go, you know what? You're going to give me all this money. I'm going down to Tahiti for 6 months to lay in the sun and sail on my sailboat. Morgan Freeman is a big sailor. And I could sail my sailboat and do that for 6 months in Tahiti. And I work maybe 2 days a week.
Where do I sign up?
Where do I sign up? You know what I mean? Where do I sign up? I'll do it in a heartbeat, Rick. I'll do it in a heartbeat. Just like Michael Caine. Yep. I'll do it in a heartbeat.
I have no problem with that. Like,
that's a paid vacation. You know what I mean? With all the perks. And believe me, I'm going down to Tahiti. Okay? Exactly. You know? You'd be a damn fool to turn something like that down.
No, exactly.
You know?
Well, you mentioned you've been in the business for so long and the performing arts has always been your passion. Have you ever done anything else?
No. Wow. No.
That's
you know,
impressive.
I remember in the beginning of my career, you know, when I was what they call so-called starving actor,
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I worked the bar scene as a young bartender. I even get this. I even drove a New York City taxi cab.
Wow.
I was 19 years old. You know what I mean? And I drove a New York City taxi cab.
Yep.
It was interesting because remember the movie Taxi we were talking about?
Taxi
With Robert
driver.
De Niro and
Jodie Foster.
Jodie Foster and
Sybil Shepherd.
Sybil Shepherd and what's the bad guy that was the pimp?
Oh my God.
Oh, you know what I'm talking about. Who was the pimp?
I can't remember now. I mean, I know Jodie Foster was a prostitute. I can't
She
remember.
was a 13-year-old prostitute, remember?
Yeah.
And the pimp was pimping her. You couldn't forget Robert De Niro. He was just so brilliant in the movie. You talking to me?
Yeah.
I don't see nobody else here. You talking to me?
Yeah.
I don't see nobody else here. You talking to me?
Speaking of lines that were improvised, from what I remember or read, I think that line was improvised too.
It was improvised. It was. I got it from the horse's mouth. Yep. That whole thing with him in the mirror. You talking to me? I don't see nobody else here.
You must be talking to me. I'm the only one here.
I remember, it was classic. And he was brilliant. He was brilliant in the role. You know what I mean? How do we get on that subject with Robert De Niro?
We were talking about Taxi Driver.
Oh, yeah, I was driving a cab.
Yes, that's what it was.
I remembered the whole look of the city. That look in that movie, driving a cab, was exactly what I went through.
Yeah. Yep.
I remember when he talked about, and when I finished my shift, I remember watching all the come off the back of the seats and all this shit. You know what I mean? Because you know what, Rick? I had to do the same thing.
Oh, yeah.
I remember people getting in cabs, go 2 times around Central Park and keep your mouth shut and just shut the meter off. And guys in the backseat with prostitutes and, whatever, doing their thing 2 times around the park. And I get a $20 tip. You know?
Yep.
Yeah.
He was at the Warriors' 35th anniversary. His name is John Joseph. Do you know who he is? He was the lead singer of the Cro-Mags. He's been Ironman athlete.
Oh, yeah. I know he's yeah.
I went on a walking tour with him recently, the Lower East Side of Manhattan, and he, just like you, just like Apache, he loves that era of the 70s. And we had a chance to walk, and he was telling us story after story after story of all the different areas. And a lot of things that you mentioned, he was talking about too. It's just a different time, and it's so nostalgic for that time. And it's definitely not the Disneyland that it was not the Disneyland that it is now.
No, not it is. Where I grew up, man, I grew up in Alphabet City. I don't know what that means. Okay, that's the Lower East Side, Avenue A, B, C, and D. Yes. I grew up in D, right in the projects on the FDR Drive. It was Avenue A, B, C, and D. Alphabet City. That's why I was born and raised. You know what I mean? Grew up. You know what I mean? And Lower East Side back there. I remember. We have a classic restaurant down on House Street called Katz, which got some of the best pastrami sandwiches in the world. If you ever been to Katz, it's a landmark. But Mulberry Street, Halston Street, all those places, man, it just brings back memories. I'll get on my bicycle and ride down there and just go sit and hang out and look at, man, here's where I was a kid. You know what I mean? Yeah. Here's when I was a kid, and it just brings back so many memories, man. I look at the old public school I went to. You know what I mean? And all of that. And it's just that to be able to do that, because so many people don't ever go back to their past. You know what I mean? Don't ever go back to where they were like 4 years old, 5 years old, 6 years, 7. They never go back to that. You know what I mean? Yeah. But I live in Manhattan, New York, and it's me to get on my bicycle and to ride back down to the D. It's nothing. It's a 25-minute ride on my bicycle. To go back down to Halston Street and Mulberry Street, to go back to Little Italy and go back to Chinatown and go back to all of that. You know what I mean? Hey, you know what I mean? To see stuff. So many people move away and they never go back. They never go back. Yep. I don't know if you ever been back to where you were when you were 4 years old. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
You know, I don't know if you've ever been back, you know?
No, I lived in Connecticut, and I lived maybe a half hour away from where I grew up. So every once in a while I'll drive down that area because it's a road that my grandfather built. He built all the houses. He built a pond. He built a little baseball field. So when I grew up, I love that area. It's an area called Woolgate, Connecticut. It's about, if you know Hartford, it's about maybe 25 minutes away from there. But
Sure.
every once in a while I'll drive by there, and it's just sort of probably what you see in New York. It's same thing with me. It's like not the same. It's all built up. There's all the houses where I used to go camping. There's roads in the middle of the woods where my brothers and I used to ride our bikes. So yeah, I go back there, but it's just not the same, unfortunately. But I have so many fond memories of my youth growing up too. So I'm glad that this is what I was going to mention. I'm glad that I live in Connecticut because Connecticut is so small. I can go to New York, Boston, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, all within, like sometimes I could do it like 4 times in 1 week. I can go to each place because I'm so close to everything.
Absolutely. I
love
totally
it.
agree. Yeah, I totally agree. You know, it's a tri-state, you know what I mean? Yep. You know, you even can pop over to New Jersey, go down to the Jersey Shore, you know what I mean? And I mean, Atlantic City, I mean, you know, everything's all close together, man, within a couple of hours driving, you know what I mean? Yep. No big deal. You can drive I can drive from Manhattan up to Boston in 3 hours. You know what I mean? Yep. You know what I mean? Yeah. Go see the Boston Red Sox play my Yankees. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. Well, that's what I love. And next Wednesday at this time, I'm going to be at Fenway Park watching Paul McCartney. Takes a 2.5-hour drive. So I love Connecticut. When people say, "Oh, Connecticut must be so boring," for me, I love the outdoors. I love the woods and hiking and things like that. So this kind of area is perfect for me. But when people say, "Oh, there's nothing to do," it's like there's plenty to do.
That's BS. Man,
exactly.
You got the Yale School of Drama there. Give me a break. You know what I mean?
That's,
you know what I mean? You got one of the most prestigious, best acting schools in the world there. You know what I mean?
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that because not too long ago I went to go see a play in New Haven, and I go to Milford. So yeah, there's if you want the arts, you want culture, there's more than enough. And if you don't think there's any in Connecticut, which there's plenty, like I just mentioned several weeks ago, I saw American Buffalo in New York. Take the train down. It's not that expensive. So yeah, there's a lot to do. People just, I think, get lazy. But getting back to you though, because we mentioned you have had such an illustrious career. You've done this for so long. So in 2013, you received a Lifetime Achievement Award.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. You know, I was very, very, very humbled and very blessed and very happy to get that award. Do you know what I mean? And honored. And it's very dear to me, and people that know me, people that have worked with me, or was saying, "Congratulations, David. You know, you're so deserving of that," and it's very special to my heart. And I'm still around. I'm still, working as an actor, and I'm still here. I'll do it, hopefully until I'm 103, and I can't remember lines anymore, and I can't walk around and whatever.
Well, even then, just do what Marlon Brando used to do. From what I heard, he used to put lines on the wall on other people. So,
absolutely. Yeah, you just put it everywhere. Put it on your hand. Totally looking down. The lines are right on your palm of your hands. You put it on the forehead of your actors. When they're doing the close up on you, you just put it on the forehead. That's what Brando did on the fellow actor, and you read it. And there it is. I mean, one of my favorite actors. I mean, I live very, very close to. I mean, every time I walk past it, I go, wow. I'm walking on the street where giants walked on, the actor studio in Midtown Manhattan. I mean, you know how many great actors have went there, and I've come. Lee Strasberg, the great Lee Strasberg.
Yes.
I mean, the great actors. Marlon Brando went there. I mean, I can go, Shelley, you can go on and on of actors that came out in the 30s, 40s, and 50s, 60s that came out of the actor studio. Okay? That came out of that place. Do you know what I mean? It is not what it was before anymore. It's just time changes. You know what I mean? It's just not what it was. You know what I mean? In its heyday in the 30s and 40s and 50s and 60s, where the amount of talent that came out of there. And I walked down the streets of 44th Street, and I go, I'm walking on the same street that Brandon walked up and down on. I'm walking, James Dean, you know what I mean? I'm walking on a street where, these phenomenal talent walk up and down on the same street. Do you know what I mean? Walk, and I go in the actor studio and I sit and I go, I'm sitting right in Brandon's seat. Where he sat. You know what I mean? Hey, come on. You know what I mean? I'm very blessed and I'm very lucky. You know what I mean? To have that. You know what I mean? To go, wow, and to appreciate that and to respect that, Rich. To appreciate it and to respect that and to honor that.
That to me is probably the most important thing, that you actually appreciate everything, all the success you've had, you respect it. And so sometimes you get these people that when they had the success that you've had, they get the chip on their shoulder, the attitude. I love the fact that you're so humble, you're so nice, and you appreciate everything, all the good things that have come your way. And you've earned everything that you've gotten. All the accolades you've gotten, all the great compliments you've gotten from all these legends saying, you did a great job. You're awesome. So, it's all the hard work has paid off for you. You've done it for so long, and I can picture another 50 years of you doing this.
Thank you. Thank you, Rick. That means a lot. And I super, super appreciate that. Thank you so very much.
You're very welcome. Before we go, I want to talk about one more thing, because it's something you're doing with my former guest and now friend, Apache Ramos. It's called the Zoo Crew 2.
Yes. Michael Demarest is doing something. It's a true story about his life story as a young actor, and he gets involved with this gang, and he turns away from acting into the street gang thing. It's a true story, and he wrote the script, and he's a big fan of the Warriors, and he asked us to kind of co-produce it and talk about it. And Apache's involved with it. I'm involved with it. Michael Beck's involved with it. But most of the guys from the Warriors have been supportive of Michael in this project. And now he's has done the whole script, and he's now trying to do the pilot and sell it to whatever studio would buy it. You know what I mean? He's just trying to get the money for the pilot to be shot. Do you know what I mean? The script's already done, so right now it's just trying to raise the money to shoot the pilot, and then try to sell the pilot to whatever network, or all these cable networks and all these all this stuff on cable and blah blah blah. So he's a wonderful man, and it's a true story. It's his story.
Wow, I didn't realize it was a true story. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Is he using Kickstarter to get people, can people donate money to see this movie made?
Yeah, he's got a different venues that he's going through to raise the funds.
Okay.
To raise the amount of money he needs to shoot the pilot. And the pilot will be shot here in New York.
Okay.
So the story takes place here in New York. So he's still working on that now. It's basically about getting the funds to shoot the pilot. And then from there, he'll try to sell a pilot to whoever will pick it up.
Very good. I'm looking forward to seeing that. So David, it was such a pleasure to have you on the show. You have so many great stories. You're such a talented actor. I cannot wait to see what's next. But before we go, I want to talk about what's next and where can people find you?
People can find me on, I have a virtual Zoom room, which I think I sent you that, where people around the world can meet me in my virtual room and can have one-on-one chats with David Cochise Harris. They can friends can make an appointment for, like, say, a girlfriend once says her boyfriend's a big fan of the Warriors. Okay, I got you this thing where you're going to be able to meet David Harris and talk with David Harris, and he'll wish you happy birthday and blah, 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 all of that sort of stuff. And people around the world that cannot come to the US, or people here in this country, if they live in a different state, they can't get to New York, they can meet me in a virtual reality room. It's like Zoom, like we're doing right now. Do you know what I mean? They'll be able to talk to me, see me, blah, 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 have a conversation with me. If there's a birthday, I can say, wish them happy birthday or happy Bob Mitzvah or whatever. You know what I mean? They can go there. They can reach me on my Facebook page. They can reach me on IMDB, on my Facebook page. So that's how they can reach me,
All right. Well, I look forward to seeing you soon. Hopefully you'll be at another convention. If not, I will definitely do the virtual room and say hi to you back then.
Absolutely. I think we're going to have, hopefully we'll be at Chillow.
Oh, good. I will be there. I go every April and I go every October.
Right. Well, you probably saw Apache and Dee Dee Barney, who plays one of Lizzie's. They were there in April. You know what I mean? So I think there'll be 5 Warriors should be there in October.
Oh, good. And you're going to be one of them.
Yes. So hopefully you'll come there and we can break bread, have a glass of wine or something, and break some bread. You know what I mean? And laugh and have a good time. You know what I mean?
I look forward to it. I will be there and get the wine ready. So I'll be thirsty.
You got it. Same here, buddy. Well, listen, it was great talking to you tonight. And a big hello and big shout out to all my fans there on your podcast, and look forward to meeting all you guys and come into my virtual room and meet David Cochise Harris. As I would say, magic. Whole lot of magic.
All right. That it is. That wraps up the latest episode of The Claw's Corner. A huge thanks goes out to actor and producer David D. Harris. I would also like to thank John Bristol of Elmwood Productions for always doing a superb job editing this show and making it available each and every week. And lastly, but definitely not least, I need to thank you, the viewer, for always tuning in. Enjoy your day, everyone.
Now available in one collection. Confessions of a Frenetic Mind. 5 tales of blood-curdling terror. Available on Amazon and Barnes & Noble.
All of a sudden I hear, brim, brim.
What's a diaphragm again?
Ha! We caught one.
They're supposed to be weird.
Oh, yeah, no. If you say so.
I've always wanted to be in a movie.
Waiting around for autumn, waiting around for autumn.